You beat me to it. Well, no, go ahead and do it now.
See?
You started it.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna skip that part. Welcome to Obsidian Extra Lives. I'm your host, Player Sport Chris Stanick, Player Sport Specialist Chris Stanick, joined by our special guest and my boss, so hope I don't mess this up, Director of Communications, Mikey Dowling.
Hi. Hello. How are you all?
Doing pretty good. Very good.
Woke you up there?
Yeah, you definitely
Got
woke me
you.
up. You stole the thing that I said I was going to do. So we're like, oh, hey, I'm going to be on camera? Hey, go on camera?
Oh, is there incentives?
Oh, yes, there are incentives. Let's take a look at those incentives. So for $30, Mikey will read a pun. For $25, I will read 3 puns.
Oh.
For $10, I'll read a pun. $10 for Bean Boozled, hot or gross. And $10 to ban a word. And what that means is you pick a word for 5 minutes and Mikey can't say it. What are we playing here?
We're playing Infernax. It's available now on Game Pass. I highly recommend you check it out if you have a Game Pass subscription. Also, I think it's only $20 otherwise. Worth it. Completely 100%. Worth it. But we're going to go in. We're going to start a new game. I play this a lot, by the way. We're going to do... Oh, we're going to give this a good name. We're going to give it...
Oh, I knew you were going to do it.
And just to piss off Chinner.
Spell it wrong. While we're here doing this, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I was born on April 25th, 1983. What more do you want to know?
That's pretty much it. I mean, we can call the show right there, right?
Sweet, let's keep playing this
cool.
game. I mean, I love video games. I've been playing them for a very long time. I think my very first game was probably Berserk on the Atari 2600.
Wow, that's one I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a tank game.
Okay.
But quite fun. And then played a lot of Pac-Man on 2600. My grandmother got me an NES. I think when I was like 6-ish probably. Mm-hmm. Sounds close.
So at that point, did you get the Duck Hunt Mario 3?
It wasn't Mario 3, it's Duck Hunt and Mario.
Duck Hunt Mario, that's right. I remember
and then
Mario 3,
the other titles that she got for me were Friday the 13th, which is very random because that game is super hard.
Yes.
And I'd never really beat that game until watching somebody play through it, and I was like, oh, that's how you're supposed to do this. That was years later. And then also Blaster Master, which great game.
Classic.
Also very hard.
Unless you're a cheesy cheeser and you pause it on the bosses and let the grenade damage add up.
Sure, I didn't know to do that, so, way to one-up my childhood.
Some people just had better childhoods, I'm sorry.
And we could keep doing the cool Simon's Quest run of this game. Mm-hmm. But I love NES games. Yeah, I've heard of things.
Anonymous donated $30 via Extra Life. Well, let me get you a pun. I've got so many of them to choose from.
We are going to go and play this in a different way.
There's a different way to play it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You remember NES games, right? That whole era, NES, even Game Boys?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with that era.
There was a very popular code that you could input to most Konami games back then.
Some might even call it the Konami code.
Yep. And it does something in this game, which is pretty rad.
What does that say? I missed it. It said, curse has begun.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's attack aggressively. We just made Contra, buddies. Let's go. Now I can see if I can move through this in an hour and a half.
All right.
Anyway.
You have to read one of these.
I have to read them?
That was a $30 one, yeah.
Oh. Siri.
Siri
disapproves too.
I just randomly scrolled through this book I got just for this day.
You can eat a sandwich any time of day. It's always a square meal.
What were you doing before you got to Obsidian? Like, what was your work history as like a teenager and onward?
So my very first job was packing clothing in a warehouse. It was my brother and a friend of ours, and we would sit like packing slips from like clothing stores who needed to get like X shipments delivered to them. And so we would just pack that in boxes and put it away. We made like $15 an hour under the table.
Yeah, that's not bad under the table money right there.
At 15,
right?
Man, you know what that meant? We got pizza. So like that was cool. But yeah, we did that, and then I ended up getting a job at that's this guy.
Oh, you got no shield.
At Babbage's before it became GameStop. And so I worked at Babbage's for a while, left there, and then briefly was a door-to-door vacuum salesman.
Okay.
That wasn't fun.
It's
actually,
interesting though.
It is. It's a part of my history that is something I can call out.
Were they Kirby vacuums?
They were Kirby vacuums. 100%.
I used to sell Cutco knives.
Yeah, they like. To be fair, amazing vacuum.
Same thing with the
super
knives.
quality. Here's the problem with a Kirby vacuum: when you're, I don't know, I was probably 18 at the time doing this. They're $1,500 vacuums, and they sent me to Corona to sell them. There weren't a lot of people in Corona willing to spend $1,500 on a vacuum at the time.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of money for a vacuum. But
Yeah.
they had like a lifetime warranty, right? Also, would you say that job sucked?
One house I went into was filthy. Like, it was so bad. So I cleaned up the room that I was supposed to clean up for the walk-in. The guy asked me if I wanted some water, and I said, yep. And so I had some water, finished up, did the, like, we shampooed one room at the house, which was the longest part of this whole thing. So shampooed, and then I was like, oh, can I use your sink to clean up and, you know, clean my vacuum? Like, yeah, sure. So I go in and, like, there are no doors, like cabinet doors in the kitchen. Like, they're just off.
Okay.
I don't know where cups were grabbed from. And the sink is just, like, piled with dirty dishes.
Oh, weird.
And so I just end up going in and doing his dishes because I need access to the sink. So I cleaned up his kitchen and then was like, I really hope that glass was clean.
Not one of those random ones.
It was not. I ended up getting mono.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I was out of commission for like 2.5 weeks.
So not only did you clean their carpet,
Yeah.
you did their dishes,
Yeah.
then you got...
Yeah.
Wow.
Wild, right?
I never had that happen with Cutco knives. Glad I dodged the Kirby bullet.
Yeah, so I never sold anything. And then my friends, who I was supposed to join their band, but then got super sick, so they ended up getting someone else who was actually very, very good. And he totally should have been playing with them, and not me. They were like, well, you want a job and you don't want to go back to GameStop yet, like, we do marketing research at Universal Studios. And I was like, that sounds awesome. Oh no.
The Bean King donated. Hear ye, the king demandeth the eating of beans. Make them gross children of beans. Thank you, Bean King.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. Get your water ready?
Yeah.
So I could have Tutti Frutti or Stinky Socks. It looks like you've got Stink Bug or possibly Dirty Dishwasher, Marshmallow, or Cake.
Oh, cool. That's great.
I'm kind of colorblind when it comes to these jelly beans. It's weird.
Sure. All right. Well.
Cheers.
Oh, that's not good.
I got a good one for once.
No.
Woohoo!
Oh, that's immediately bad.
Thank you, Bean King. You have provided. Oh no! Don't forget you got a drink right there. So you got into marketing research with Universal?
Yeah. So we would stand outside the Jurassic Park ride in Universal Studios.
This is okay.
And our outfit was beige, khaki pants, or just beige pants, white sneakers, and pink and white striped button-up shirts. So no one thought we were marketing research. They thought we were Barber Top for pet members. It just looked like we were in a weird costume.
For a second, it sounded like you were trying to be like a little paleontologist in the field. And then it went to pink,
it was wild.
white striped shirts.
And so we were right outside of that ride. The song doesn't end. They changed it since they went to Jurassic World. Bless them. But it was like, how did it work? I think it was something like a minute and 30-second loop at the most bombastic part of that song, which was pretty wild. All day. We luckily stood, there was a GameWorks there initially. So you could stand in front of that store and listen to like DDR music to try and drown it out. But that's also too far from where they really wanted you to be, so you couldn't be there for too long.
From Berserk Studios.
Hell yes, thank you all.
Thanks a ton for playing the game. Can you get us a hookup for Dr. Malcolm cameo by any chance? So, how do you guys want to do that? Do you want to just do 2 puns, spread it out, make him read some puns? We got options. There's options all over that board.
I like the donation total. Nice.
Yes.
Good job.
buddy.
Goodness.
Okay, so it's up to us. You could read 2 or I could read 6. Or no, it's actually more than that. I think you should read them.
Okay.
Read them and some beans.
Why'd they name it Wyoming? Because why not? What state makes the most writing utensils? Pennsylvania. I actually kind of like this one.
What?
Sometimes they get through.
What?
What planet is like a circus? Saturn. It has 3 rings. That's kind of good.
That's a good one. So, I'm surprised because I do my research before I do this. All of these were not listed.
Yeah.
So,
because I don't like do anything. Like after GameStop, I managed an anime store for several years.
We are reaching the end now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I was at the anime store for a while. That's where I met my really good friend Luke. Love him very, very much. He's awesome. And then, I also wrote for a very little-known website called GamesAreFun.com. It does not exist anymore, so sorry everybody who wants to try and find things I wrote. They're gone.
Surely there's documents somewhere.
Maybe. I don't even think it was archived, honestly.
Oh, man.
So, anime site, and then retail at that site was rough. Or sorry, like Christmas at that place was really rough. Because I would end up working from like open to close from Black Friday through to like the Christmas Eve, essentially. And that wears on you real fast. And I did that for 4 years there. And I just couldn't do it anymore.
That's reasonable.
And a buddy of mine who worked for me when I was at GameStop as an assistant manager. He was like, well, Obsidian is hiring for QA if you want to take it. And I was like, And I was like, you know what? Video games sound great. So I applied and interviewed here, and it was awesome. So then I started my gaming, like, developmental gaming career path in quality assurance.
So there wasn't really, like, a lot known about the games industry then, and probably QA in general. Like, what were you expecting to do, and what were you kind of doing?
I legit went in and was like, it's gonna be, I just play the same thing and do it over and over and over and over and over again. That's mostly true. I think I was not expecting like opportunities that came from being in QA because like we run mostly lean and there's a lot of like multi-hat wearing that happens here, which is awesome. So they were like, hey, yeah, you work in QA, but can you help get these like cover nodes down in levels? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So I would go and like help people put down so that like if Thornton needed to go and take cover against something, we could do that. Or eventually, like I got into script organization, and this is pretty much what set me on the path of where I would be for a while.
Yep.
Because I started organizing scripts and then helping the cinematic scene like organized flow for all the conversations in the game. That led to me helping be able to learn how to animate certain scenes, which was super fun.
Okay.
And then I got to do all the news broadcasts in the game, which was super, super cool. I look back at those now, I'm like, I could do this so much better today.
If only young you knew what you know now.
Right? Like, just learning, because, like, I did them and then learned more stuff about animation in, like, Unreal Matinee afterwards. So now I'm like, oh, if I could go back and redo them all, I would. But it's okay. That's just how it is. You're never done with a game until you have to ship it.
What was the driving factor that took you from QA to like script organizing and then to VO and then like directing VO, right?
I would direct in studio. I would never
like
really
the sessions,
direct.
right?
Yeah, I would go to sessions. So really, it was just I started working more with the audio team and kind of became like a pseudo producer for them for the end of Alpha Protocol, with mostly just like going in, finding bugs, going into their office. They would play through the game. They would need to like write down all the stuff that they wanted to cover, so I would just write it down and then put in essentially bugs for them to help them out. And then they wanted to bring me on to their team full time, so I went to it at the start of New Vegas. And then at the start of New Vegas, Josh was like, I don't understand the VO system, and no one, like, you're the audio person now, like, can you figure it out? I'm like, yep. So I just started working on, like, what we needed to do for scripts and whatnot for that game, which was, there was a lot there. I saw you grab that box.
So it was you'd kind of just become the audio guy for that project, and they're like, can you figure out? So you just kind of self-taught yourself as you went?
Well, just the audio producer.
Oh, the audio
and it just
producer.
became like the, like just figure out the VO stuff. So yeah, sure.
Okay.
And so then that was going through and taking out, because we had to remove anything that was legacy. So like old Fallout 3 lines for characters that we weren't going to do, and like make sure we had like an idea of who was all in this game that we were going to record VO lines for, and then work with Josh to figure out like how we wanted voice types and sets to work in that game. So we organized that and like got the range of voices that we wanted.
So
Wait till I get that double
You're
jump.
doing sound design, and then you're kind of like,
Yeah,
feeling like this isn't what you wanted to do.
And I talked to Fergus, because there's a lot of like life stuff happening at the same time. And he'd ask like, hey, are you happy with work right now? I was like, I feel like I could be doing more. He's like, well, what do you want to do? Oh, I forgot that I can have a potion. Like, I don't know. Like, well, you're very charismatic and very little gets you down. I don't know what that means. Think about it and get back to me. And I was like, all right. Which I'm trivializing it, but that's essentially the course of the conversation. And I was like, well, cool, I'll think. And then the next day, my dad passed away.
Oh, jeez.
Like the very next day after that conversation. So I ended up taking some time, and during that time, I started looking at our social media, and because I had an interest in social media, it was like, we could do more. And so I just started checking it out and looking at the followers that we had on Twitter, and I was like, how do we have less people following us on Twitter than like who backed our very successful crowdfunding campaign? So I just wanted to find ways to help there, and so I kind of came up with a strategy that I wanted to do. And then Fergus and I had like a 2-hour meeting where I just kind of talked through everything I wanted to do with social media. And he was like, sounds cool. I don't know if that's a like 40-hour-a-week job. I was like, well, if you do it right, it absolutely is.
So you basically just were like, you made a position.
Well, I expanded the position that was there because we had somebody doing that, but they weren't doing it full time. And what ended up happening is he talked to Darren Monahan about it, who's another one of our founders. And Darren's like, well, I was actually looking for somebody to help out with support. So if he does that, would that feel like it was filling an entire day? And Fergus like, yeah, that sounds about right. So I started helping with support. I did need to go up first. It's all right. Oh, that room is also very dangerous with Maxim gun. I'll show you why when we get back there.
I feel like nothing has been very dangerous with Maxim gun.
Mostly not.
They're like, why the hell does this person have a gun?
You're cheating.
This isn't fair. You're demons. Who cares?
Right? Box for life.
Box for life. Putting them in boxes.
See? Now you're converted.
But I'm going to give you a reprieve from memory lane for now.
Okay.
And I'm just going to ask you like some things like, why is the Attitude Era peak WWE?
It's not.
What is? Are you sure it's not? Because
I would say Ruthless Regression is probably a better peak time for both the amount that they earned and level of wrestling.
So you think the Attitude Era was just more spectacle?
I think it brought eyes to the company in a different way. But like, I don't know, like the Attitude Era had some silly stuff like that just doesn't hold up over time, and a lot of the matches I really don't think hold up. Definitely introduced great characters. Like without the Attitude Era, we don't get Stone Cold. But I think if you're looking for like bell-to-bell wrestling, it's not Attitude Era for sure. And ultimately, I like wrestling stories, but I also like the matches to like carry that
you
story
always seem
on.
to appreciate the technical ability.
Yeah.
And not just like I mean, for me, that's when I watched prior to that, and then it became that, and I was like, wait, now it's WWE. What is happening? Doug Basket asks, you talked about getting started in QA. Do you have any tips from your time there?
Yeah, apply for QA positions and just show that you're passionate for games. Like, whenever I talk to QA people, you're playing games. Like that's what you're doing. That's what your focus is on. So, knowing that that's what you're going to be doing every day, like you probably want to enjoy that. Oh no, I don't like you doing that motion at all.
A has-been has donated $10. I've been meaning to ask you to eat a gross bean. Thank you, a has-been.
What do you do on your normal time? Mikey Part 2.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I've been here for 14 years.
Exactly.
So there's been a lot.
Oh, well, I guess I'll ask you this. Since you've been here for so long, what has kept you here for so long? Because people in the industry, especially even after they move up, some want to go to bigger, different studios for whatever reason. Like,
I love the games we make. That's step the first. And then the people. I love the people here.
I agree, and I've not been here for 14 years.
Yeah, like a lot of people who have been around for as long as I have, I still love seeing them in the halls while I'm walking around. Work friends are like family to me. Our team is amazing.
Yep.
It's the best team. So yeah.
That's not an exaggeration.
It's easy to come into work when you really enjoy doing it.
100%. Well, that is going to do it for us here over at Obsidian and Extra Lives. I just want to say thanks again to Mikey for coming out and
Thank you.
hanging out with us, playing some games, talking, and helping raise money for the Chids.
Yeah, anytime.
Eating some gross beans and doing some fun things.
The beans that's something else.
Take care and have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.